There have been several incredible plays in the history of the National Football League. In this video, we show the top 8 craziest plays in NFL history. Before we dive right in, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, press that bell icon for notifications. Number 8, Music City Miracle in 2000. When the Buffalo Bills faced the Houston Oilers, or a later iteration of the Oilers, the Tennessee Titans, there must be something in the bath. Sit in your seats before the last shot goes off as these two teams meet. On January 8th, 2000, a wildcard AFC playoff game took place. With just 16 seconds remaining in the contest, the winning Buffalo Bills had taken a 16-15 advantage on a 41-yard field goal by Steve Christie. All the Bills could do was kick away, tackle the returning guy, and then catch the Hail Mary throw to progress to the playoffs next round. Instead, the Titans went for a trick play, as you can see in the game. Is it a forward or a sideways pass? Since the camera shot is a vital element in determining the correct decision, this would most likely be debated for decades. We may never realize the whole thing. One thing is certain, the Bills have never advanced further in the playoffs since that game. Another thing we know is that Kevin Dyson, the player who scored the game-winning touchdown on this wild sequence, will later be tackled 1 yard short of tying up the Super Bowl for the Titans later in the playoffs. Is it possible that was karma? Number 7, the catch in 1982. The catch refers to Joe Montana's throw to Dwight Clark in the back of the end zone in Super Bowl 23. It was the NFC title game between the San Francisco 49ers and the Dallas Cowboys on January 10th, 1980. He was too well guarded, so Montana had to run to stop the Cowboys' pass rush and search for another goal. Barely made it in time to grab the game-winning touchdown throw. From there, the 49ers went on to defeat the Cincinnati Bengals in Super Bowl 16. Number 6, New York Jets beat the Baltimore Colts in 1969. How do we not have Joe Namath and the New York Jets win over the Baltimore Colts in Super Bowl III in our compilation of unforgettable moments in NFL history? This match was definitely something that couldn't be missed by the football fans. Super Bowl III was the third AFL-NFL title game in competitive American football, and the first to use the word Super Bowl as the trademark. In comparison to their more developed NFL rivals, the AFL was also considered to be playing a lesser game of football. In the first 2 Super Bowl contests, this was clear. Joe Namath, on the other hand, had a swagger and confidence in his own and his teammates' abilities, which led him to predict that the Jets would beat the Colts. Namath was able to prove his case. The Jets well outplayed the Colts, winning 16-7. The AFL no longer had to feel inadequate to the NFL after that, and the public image of the league increased. Number 5, New York Giants beat New England Patriots in 2007. The New England Patriots are 1 win away from matching the flawless 1972 season of the Miami Dolphins. In 2007, the Patriots went unbeaten in both the regular season and the playoffs. What the Patriots wanted to do now was beat the New York Giants in Super Bowl 42 to create history. They must have actually won 2 more games than the Dolphins. The regular season has already been extended up to 16 rounds, and the Dolphins just needed to win 14 of them to complete a season sweep. The Patriots had already beaten the Giants 38-35 in the season's final regular season contest, demonstrating how closely balanced the two teams were. As a consequence, the Giants' 12-point underdog position was quite shocking going into the clash. The Giants had displayed their grit and toughness by winning 3 consecutive playoff games on the road, so they came into the game with momentum. The game's most famous action was Eli Manning's scramble, in which he eluded Patriots rushers who had him in their grip, only to see Manning dance out of the attempted sack and heave an impossible throw down the line. Perhaps more incredible was the way the wide receiver David Tyree caught the pass by trapping it against his helmet. For a remarkable game, a remarkable match. With 35 seconds remaining in the game, Manning floated a throw to Plaxico Burress in the end zone, completing the Giants' 17-14 turnaround victory. Surprisingly, the top 2 teams in the league earned almost the same amount of points in their 2 games against each other that season, 52-52. Number 4, Driscoll Middle School play in 2010. You may have noticed the YouTube video of the trick football play pulled off by Driscoll Middle School in Corpus Christi, Texas. Driscoll breaks loose from the huddle and lines up in front of the ball. The assistant coach yells from the sideline that Driscoll is deserving of a 5-yard penalty. The Driscoll center casually hands the ball over his shoulder to the quarterback at this point. And if we realize the center can still deliver the ball through his thighs, this is completely appropriate. As the enemies gaze on, the quarterback takes the ball and begins to progress 5 yards himself. The quarterback immediately bursts for a sprint and dashes 67 yards for a touchdown, clear of the resistance. Number 3, Loduca's catch into the dugout in 2002. Any players who slip or plunge on the rubber-like substance that surrounds Dodger Stadium land with a thud, resulting in knee-jarring, hamstring straining, or ankle-twisting injuries. As Dodger catcher Paul Loduca sprinted into a third base dugout to make a brilliant sliding grab of Bill Mueller's 7th-inning pop-up, he rolled straight off the warning track 4 huge steps down to the Dodgers' dugout level and fell on his foot, popping back onto the field with cat-like quickness. The unpredictability of the landing contributed to the challenge of Loduca's catch. Andy Ashby, a Dodger pitcher, was in the field but didn't want to grab Loduca, which was lucky. If Loduca had reached Ashby, he would have broken his leg. Number 2, the controversial goal in Baltimore Ravens versus Cleveland Browns, 2007. It was a heartbreaking setback, and there was a miraculous tie. Finally, a thrilling triumph. That's how it went for the Browns on November 18th, 2007, when the bizarre duel rebounded the oblong football off a steel goalpost secured their fate. In celebration of the incredibly disputed 51-yard game-tying field goal that Browns shooter Phil Dawson kicked on the final day of regulation, Cleveland's 33-30 overtime win over Baltimore has been known as Dawson Gate in these regions. Phil Dawson's kick is successful when it strikes the left post before reaching the field behind the crossbar. When the Ravens heard they hadn't secured the game yet because it had gone into overtime, they were in for a rude awakening. The Browns received the call long after the game seemed to be finished. Participants on both sides had already engaged in the typical post-game midfield blessing, and about 20 to 25 Ravens were in the locker room changing uniforms and tape. Dawson's field goal was deemed successful by referee Pete Morelli, prompting overtime and allowing Cleveland the opportunity to win the game on Dawson's 33-yard field goal on the first possession of the extra period. Number 1, the Ice Bowl game in 1967. The 1967 National Football League title game was contested on December 31st at Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin, which was the 35th in the league's existence. It decided the NFL champion who played the AFL champion in Super Bowl II, called the second AFL-NFL World Championship game at the time. The Ice Bowl was held on December 31st, 1967 between the Green Bay Packers and the Dallas Cowboys in Green Bay, Wisconsin. It was an NFL championship game in doubt. That day in Green Bay, the weather was dreadful. The weather was minus 15 degrees Fahrenheit, minus 26 degrees Celsius at kickoff, with a wind chill factor of 44 to 48 degrees below freezing. Thanks to the extreme weather, Lambeau Field had problems, and their device to heat the turn had failed. When they lifted the tarp off, there was a layer of ice on the ground, and the weather couldn't have been any worse. In one of the most memorable games of NFL history, the Packers beat the Cowboys 21-17 to win the Super Bowl. And that's a wrap for the 8 craziest plays in NFL history. Did we miss out on any historical game? Let us know in the comments below. Before you go, make sure you give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and press the bell icon for notifications. See ya!